everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Life Unfiltered with me, Jax Van Rooyen. So this week, I really just wanted to spend some time chatting about trusting our instincts. It's something I feel, especially in corporate, we are not necessarily encouraged to do often enough. And my personal journey is one where when I have trusted my gut and I have leaned into honing my instincts, I have always been set up for success. Whether it be as a young salesperson reading the room or trying to ferret out what my clients are looking for in marketing, trying to understand the nuances of a new market, and inferring what that next move needs to be and working off of gut. Whether it's as a mom anticipating what my kids need, trusting my gut has never set me up for failure. And I just find in the corporate space that leaning is always met, is often met with skepticism. And so this week I came across a podcast between Lex Fridman and Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos was talking about a principle that has exploded Amazon's growth and momentum, and it is the velocity of decision making. And so he speaks about how they are this incredibly huge organization, but they have managed to embed culturally this principle of the velocity of decision making, where you don't need to wait for 100% of the information. You can make quality decisions with 10% of the information that you need. So you infer it. Do you know what I mean? You can infer the rest. And that velocity of decision making has meant that they grow incredibly fast. They innovate at the speed of light. And I mean, it's Amazon, guys. Take a look around. It's one of the big four, big five organizations globally, right? And so that was just such a cool marker for me to go, my way of operating and it was a cool validation for me. And so just thought I'd spend some time just encouraging you guys around trusting our instincts. I mean, our instincts, we're creatures of instinct, right? The sixth sense is the sixth sense for a reason. And again, I know in my personal story, I'm an Enneagram 7. So if you don't know what an Enneagram is one of those it's a way to do a personality profile. So like your Myers-Briggs, there's DISC profile, Enneagram is just one of those things. I've done all of the different personality profiles. Enneagram is just really, really in-depth and quite robust and very, very helpful if you understand yours and those of those around you. It's so helpful then to unlock better collaboration in teams. And yeah, so coming back to the point, I'm an Enneagram 7, predominantly, so I'm 95% 7, which means I'm a visionary, I bring the joy and optimism, I'm quite great at activating teams, but I'm also a quiet specialist. So I'm very much live in data. However, I don't need data to know that I know that I know that the decision that I'm making is the right decision. Very often in business, I operate from gut, and I'm not being cocky. But when I know that I know that I know that I'm making the right decision, I don't know, but I know that I know that I know that I'm making the right decision. And it's the right decision. And I don't need data. I don't need the data to tell me that I'm right. When my clients need the data, we will go and find the data to prove, and also there's a thing there that when you're trying to prove a point, you will go, there's a bias. because then you'll go and find the data that proves your point. So that's also not necessarily helpful. So that's a caveat. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that leading from gut and leading from instinct has such powerful advantages that we need to encourage that in ourselves and in our teams and in our children. It doesn't negate the requirement for data and informed decision making, especially when there's a lot at stake. Absolutely need to make sure that we're weighing up the consequences of big decisions in organizations and in families and all that kind of stuff. But the need to cross every T and dot every I before we are willing to move creates unnecessary sluggishness in life, and that stops us from innovating. It stops us from growing. It just creates lethargy. And don't take it from me. Take it from Jeff Bezos, who's created Amazon, who has implemented the principle of the velocity of decision making in his organization, where you only need 10% of the data or 10% of the information required in order to go and make a decision to drive the business forward. And he's willing to make that. He's willing to take that risk. So because he knows that the consequence of not moving is greater than the consequence or the risk of making the wrong decision. Inaction is way more disastrous than going forward and making the wrong choice. Like, I just wish I could get this through to people. I almost break out in hives when people are looking for when they're looking for too much safety in the data before they're willing to move forward and make the right decision, because it is such a hamstring. It is such a hurdle. And what is it? It's such a false sense of security anyway, because you can have all the data in the whole wide world telling you that option A is the right decision to make. And you could go after option A in the wrong way and still manage to fail. Do you know what I mean? And in life, just personally in life, I feel like we train ourselves not to trust our gut. A perfect example, many moons ago, my family and I went out on a Sunday afternoon to go and get pizza before remember the 8 o'clock movie? Was it on Mnet? The 8 o'clock movie on Mnet. I don't know if it still shows. I don't have terrestrial anymore, but and we went out. My son was still, I think he was in primary school still. And we went to go and get the Pizza Perfect special, 2 pizzas. We came home and we were coming into our driveway, and when we saw a car double parked, and we lived in like a little cul-de-sac, and we still remember thinking, we still said to each other, that's so weird. And my gut said, wow, that is so weird. That is so weird. And did I not ignore my gut that was shady and there was something wrong with that? And we ignored it, and we drove into our driveway, and we proceeded to be held at gunpoint for, I think it was about 3.5 hours. We were robbed blind. They stole the Nemo clock off of my son's bedroom wall, cleaned out, loaded everything into our car, cleaned out. Because I did not trust my gut, and we did not, we should have just driven off and called the police and reported it or whatever, but we ignored it, and we went into the driveway, and we were robbed. We were held at gunpoint, the entire family. And so, if that's not why do we do that? We were designed with instincts, like these early warning, these detection systems that process information faster than our minds can compute data. Like that gut stuff processes all of the stimuli faster than the speed of thought. And it lets us know, not safe. This person's not safe. The situation's not safe. Or I have a feeling about this human. Yes. We need to reteach ourselves to trust our guts, and we don't need to explain it to anybody. We need to teach our children, guys. Our kids need to learn to trust their instincts, and you do not have to explain it to anyone. If you get a weird feeling, you trust that feeling, and you do not have to qualify it. I think we get into such a weird space where we feel we have to justify and qualify and please explain, and no, absolutely, unequivocally not. You do not have to. You're living your life your way for an audience of one, and you do not have to qualify, justify, please explain to anyone. Trust the instincts that you have been designed with. And there is a reason we were given these sixth and seventh and fifth and a millionth senses, right? And for some reason, people want to be polite. For some reason, we just don't trust them, and we teach our kids not to ignore it, to be polite. It's just not okay. It's just silly. And so when I saw that podcast between Lex and Jeff, I was just reminded, because I can't tell you how many times as a young marketer or a young salesperson, or even now, even 5 years, 6 years, however many years into running my own consulting business, when I present an opportunity and it is from a gut level, I get such resistance because it is not backed up with reams and reams of data and reams of market research. And I'm like, guys, but you've just got to know that I know, because I'm plugged in. I'm so plugged into what I'm doing. I'm so plugged into the market. I'm so plugged in that I know that I know that I know. And if you've got to stop and go and get all the research to get it done, we're going to lose the first mover advantage. We're going to lose the opportunity. And sometimes you've just got to trust that you know. And if we can teach our teams that they are safe enough to operate with a 10% information, and that instinct, that if you are really making sure that you're plugged into your industry, if you're plugged into your organization, if you're plugged into your community, if you're plugged into your network, then your gut, your instinct, that kind of stuff becomes your superpower. And it is that speed to decision making, that speed to action. Man, it sets you ahead. It sets you ahead. It's so powerful. And if we can teach ourselves again and our kids that trusting your gut and trusting your instinct, when your red flags are shouting at you about people, adults, other kids, when your red flags are shouting at you, run. And you don't have to explain it. You trust the gut God's given you. And when your green flags are going, oh, this is a really cool person, or this is a great situation and I need to respond, you trust that and you lean in as well. Our instincts are untapped reservoirs of potential that can help guide us and keep us safe if we just learn to develop those muscles and stop making excuses for this incredible gift God has given us. And so I felt so encouraged by that podcast, and so just wanted to encourage you guys. Okay, guys, this was Life Unfiltered with Jax van Rooyen. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to chat to you again next week. Until then, bye!